Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Make Life Less Taxing podcast, the show where we uncover what really creates freedom in life and business, and we'll explore stories of those who've learned how to build wealth with purpose.
Welcome back to the Make Life Less Taxing podcast. Today, I'm joined by Kish Rao, founder of the Wealth Group and a creator of the Wealth Building Interactive, a private club helping professionals rethink how they build wealth and take back control from Wall Street and big banks. Kish, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Daniel.
Kish, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what is the work that you do today?
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Kish Rao, and I'm from the Philadelphia area. I've been a tech guy for 30 plus years in the technical industry, and I recently retired from a W-2 job earlier this year to pursue a passion of mine. I joined a number of things, but my main thing is learning how to help others take more control of their money so that they have more time freedom and energy so they can do the stuff they want to do, like spending time with their family, pursue their dreams, so on and so forth. So that's what I'm doing now.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned you quit your job and you started essentially teaching. Can you expand on that a little bit more? Like, what was going on in your life? What made you kind of decide to go and do, to do this, to start the Wealth Group?
Absolutely. So I love my tech job. I love technology. However, it wasn't calling me anymore. And I needed to do something that was working for me. About 10 years ago, I learned about something. I learned a system where it could teach me how to take more control of my money. And then I didn't really believe it. So I did some research, studied, asked more questions. And after about 5 months of this, I realized, you know what? This sounds good. I also realized that if I don't take action, nothing in my life is going to change. Back then, I had 2 young kids, and when I forecasted, where we were going to be in 10 years, I realized, you know what? My current situation is not going to work unless I make some changes. So I decided to make a change. There was a lot of uncertainty. I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing. And even after I did it, I started down this path. I was still questioning, was this the right thing? Was this not the right thing? Now, fast forward 8 years later, best move I've ever made. So I'm so grateful to have learned this strategy. And now I am paying it forward by teaching others how this works and just helping them implement it in their lives.
Yeah, that's great. Now, before the show, you did share with me when you decided to quit your job, was it your oldest son that was starting college at that time? I mean, that's, quitting a job creates a lot of uncertainty, and then being kind of worried about having enough money to help your son with college planning, that kind of adds a whole nother level or layer of uncertainty.
Oh, absolutely. And it's my daughter, not my son.
Oh,
But
your daughter. Yeah.
that's okay. So yes, my daughter actually started college about 2 months ago, and I quit my job in January. So quitting your job the same year your eldest starts college, especially in this day and age where the college prices are skyrocketing, inflation is through the roof, and all the other craziness that's currently happening in the world. But I was confident in my abilities. I know what I'm doing. I made some strategic moves. I believe in passive income, where I'm not looking for a quote unquote retirement date where, okay, I'm done work and now I can just sit back and enjoy my ties. I don't think that way. I like passive income. So I'm setting up processes so I have continuous passive income until I'm my 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So I don't need to worry about money coming in because my money is going to be working for me and bringing more money in. So that's my logic. That's my transition. Yes, it was hard. It still is. 2025 is a tough year. However, I feel confident with what I'm doing. And so does my wife and my kids. Yeah, they're still learning, but that's okay. And yeah, so we'll talk in 6 months. We'll be like, wow, congratulations, Kish.
Yeah. No, no, you've done it. Listen, I mean, this is what it comes down to when anybody kind of makes that leap, going from W-2 employee to entrepreneur. Best way I can describe it is kind of like jumping out of an airplane and going like, oh, I've got to go and build a parachute now. I've got to figure out how do I slow myself down. So you're kind of building it on the way down. And sometimes that's the best way to do it because I'm sure you've spoken to people that have been thinking about it for years, but they just never made that leap, right? And I think that's where it becomes even more challenging because you'll never accomplish anything if you're just kind of planning for it and thinking about it and designing in your head. You kind of have to just go out there and do the work.
I completely agree. And I've seen cases where people have worked and worked and worked, and at the end of their lives, they don't have much to show for it.
Well,
So,
let me ask you this.
yeah,
You know what the richest, every town has this one place that has, it's the richest place in the whole town. You know what that place is?
the bank.
No, it's the cemetery.
Ah,
Because all of
yes.
those great ideas, all of those good things that somebody could have gone and created died with the people, unfortunately, and they took it with them. Right? So from that perspective, exactly what you just mentioned, there's a lot of people that kind of take their ideas or what they wanted to do into their, into grave because they never really did anything about it. So, that's great to hear for you. Listen, I call myself that, for the last 30 years since I've been an entrepreneur, I've been unemployable. I cannot imagine going and working for, and having a job. There were times where it would have been probably a little bit easier just having a little bit of that certainty.
Hmm.
But again, I think for me, I could not survive going and living that way. So that's great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now, you talk about educating individuals and helping them around their finances, especially this word I'm going to use, financial control. And I think this is kind of what you mean is how do you actually get a hold of your finances? What does that mean to you? And what is it so central of the work that you do and how you help others?
Excellent question. So, yeah, when I used to have my tech job, it was great. It was very simple. I got that steady paycheck. I put money into my 401k. Uh, Life was good. However, I realized, I have money in my 401k. I have money in these S&P 500 investments. And when I want to borrow money from there, I realized that even though it's my money, I can't take it out until I hit a certain age or if I leave my job. Then I realized, wait a minute, it's my money, but I don't have control over it. And then a couple times I've seen it dip, and I'm thinking, no, I don't like this. What can I do about it? So that's when I started researching and learning and trying to find out what other people do. And that's when I came across this concept called infinite banking. And when I first heard about it, my wife actually told me the name, gosh, 8 years ago. And I just laughed at her and said, well, that's such a silly frou-frou name. What the heck is that? But even though I said that, I still did some research. And that's when I realized, wow, this actually has a lot more merit than I realized. And the infinite banking strategy is a strategy where you can put your money in a system where the system allows you control over your own cash, and you can borrow against it, and you can use it for expenses. You can use it for emergencies. You can use it for investing. You can use it for anything you choose without having to get permission. And you have
Mm.
total control over it. When I realized that, I'm thinking, wow, this sounds really good, but does it really work? And then I did some research. That was part of this 5 months of discovery. And I realized this sounds solid. I tried it out and it's solid. It works. It worked for me.
Yeah.
One thing I did realize though, it doesn't work for everyone, Daniel. There's a lot of people out there that'll hear my story and they'll just laugh and say, oh, he's just trying to sell something. And reality is, I don't care about selling anything. I just want to help others. So if this resonates with you, if this resonates with anybody, I implore them to just learn, read,
Yeah.
educate yourself. Be a skeptic, ask questions, because
Yeah,
that's what I do.
100%. You don't have to accept everything anybody says, but at least we could go and have a conversation around it. I think it was Judge Learned Hand. He said, he was specifically talking about the IRS code, but he said it's designed for two types of people, for the one that are informed and the ones that are uninformed. And unfortunately, when it comes to finances, doesn't matter at what spectrum you go, at what age you go, most people are very ill-informed or uninformed about even basic financial concepts, let alone when we start talking about strategies or we start talking about actually putting something together where now it becomes more of a system or a process, right? Like most people went and bought products where I think what you teach and what we teach at the Institute of Untaxable Wealth through Make Life Less Taxing and also educate people through this podcast is there is more than one way of solving a problem that you have around your finances. Unfortunately, the traditional financial system is designed in a way that actually is not there for people to win. It's actually most of the times designed for everybody else to win, but not for the consumer, right? And it's a matter of just going through education and educate individuals on what they're doing and where they're at, and having that conversation. I think that becomes really important.
And the key word there is education. So people are not educated. And my goal right now is not to get more people into infinite banking. My goal is to educate people.
Yeah,
Once they learn, once they understand, then they're going to be knocking down my door saying, help me implement this into my life. And that's what I want. I want to help other
yeah,
people. I can sleep at night. I don't need to worry about what's happening in the stock market. Before when I was working, I was very stressed, especially a couple times when 401k tanked, my stocks tanked, and
yeah,
that was unnerving. Now I don't need to worry about that anymore. So it's a good feeling. I can sleep
yeah,
at night. Less stressed. Yes, I am not working, but I know my money is growing for me. It's working for me. Plus, I have all these other opportunities that I'm using my money to make more money for me. So
yeah.
it's a good system.
Yeah. No, that's great. So, who are the type of people that you work, with, and help them the most with what you're doing?
Okay, great question. So if you're a tire kicker, you can walk away. I like to work with people and talk to people that are serious about making changes. If you're
Mhm.
if you're truly serious about learning something new, having an open mind, and wanting to really have control over your money, then let's have a conversation. These are the people that I like to work with. Now, like I said earlier, this isn't for everybody. So what we do is we sit down, we talk about the whole process, we talk about the concept. As we continue digging into this, we'll look at some numbers, we'll make sure it works for you. And you may realize later, this may not work for you. And guess what? That's okay. That's fine. You educated yourself. For me, that's my goal. Educate yourself. Then if things work out well, you'll realize this can really help you, but not just you. It can help your kids, their kids, their kids, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
that's my goal.
Yeah. It becomes a multi-generational kind of an idea because again, when finances are being mismanaged, it's usually one generation that gets the mismanagement, and the next one tries to go and fix it. Where this is a way how do you can actually go and plan for a little bit longer. Now, when someone hears for the first time truly what infinite banking is, and they get the concept, uh, you know, they would often say, "Why haven't I heard about this before?" Why do you think that is? Like, why is it kind of this? And I'm going to call it almost a secret where a lot of people don't know about it, or is it a secret because we do see a lot of it around? People are just not aware of it, how it works.
Oh, it's no secret. It's just when people hear about it, they think it's skeptical. They question it
Mm,
because it's not mainstream. And I questioned it. I questioned it for 5 months until I realized this is a solid process. And the reason why is, the system it uses is a whole life insurance policy. And as soon as I say the word insurance, all of a sudden, everybody's guard goes up. They're thinking, oh my gosh, he's an insurance salesman. That's what he's trying to sell me. And that is the furthest from the truth. I try to teach people the strategy, and this strategy is solid, and the strategy just happens to use a life insurance policy. And that's the connection, and that's why when people hear what do they use, life insurance, that's when the guard goes up. But like I said, once you get more educated, as long as you have an open mind and willing to learn, then you start understanding how it works. And you're not in this alone. When I did this, I felt like I was alone because I didn't have anybody else except for the company I'm working with. And now you go on YouTube, just go on any social media platform, just do a search on IBC or Infinite Banking Concept, and you'll see a plethora of information. So you'll see good stuff, you'll see bad stuff, but make your own decision. I'm here to have conversations with people, and I'm also learning every single day. So
Yeah. No, listen, learning never stops. I always say, the day that I stop learning is the day I'm dead.
yes, I
You know,
agree.
so you know what? As long as I'm alive, that means that I'm still learning, and there's a lot more to learn. And the more I learn, the more I realize there is so much more to learn. I mean, it's impossible to really get ahead of all the information that's there on the different topics. Now, what do you see as the biggest misunderstanding or mistakes that people make when really they're trying to build wealth outside of the traditional financial models that have been used?
Are we talking specifically about what I do with infinite banking?
Yeah, I mean, from that perspective, yeah.
Sure. The biggest mistake people think about is they think it's an investment,
Hmm.
and it's not an investment. It is a place, it's a system where you store your money. That's it. It's kind of like the Wells Fargo. It's kind of like the Capital One out there, the Bank of America.
Hmm.
So you're setting up your own banking system. You control the whole banking functions. Where an investment is, you put your money into a system, and that system gives you returns every month, every year, and then you can get back your capital. So people confuse the two, and it's not the same. This is the biggest misconception. I met with somebody for coffee last week, and she was asking me, how much do I need to put into this investment to start it? And I said, it's not an investment. So it does take some time for people to get past that. But once you do, once you understand it, that's what happened to me. Because even initially, I felt like it was an investment. And it takes some time, so it's no fault of anybody's. But once you get it, things just start clicking. That way you realize,
Hmm.
wait a minute, I'm not spending, X number of dollars a year on annual premiums. I'm depositing this into my own banking system where I have total control. I can pull out money, I can borrow against it whenever I want to, and it continues to grow in cash value. So it is for me, it's a win-win all around. So it's that concept that they have to get past, and once they
Yeah.
do, then things start getting a lot cleaner and a lot smoother.
Yeah. Well, you said a word, and I think this is really what it comes down to. What all this, it's a system. And just as we were saying that, I'm like going, well, hang on. If it's a system, then, and you mentioned investments, well, that's also a system, right? So, at the end of the day, and this is so often I tell our clients that, when you're in front of a prospect or somebody that is interested in what you have to show them, you're not there to sell them anything. You're there to help them to make the next best decision for them. So you're there always coming from a place of service because I think it's a lot easier to go and do the work as an advisor or whatever capacity you are when you're not seen as a product pusher or somebody that sells products, but rather somebody that provides service, but also sells systems or processes or a way of how to do something. And when it comes down to retirement, there's probably a million different ways how somebody can get to retirement, even financially. It doesn't say that there is just the one and the only way of going and do something, but it's a matter of opening their minds of what is out there and what really fits into their situation, right? So I think even when you're talking about the infinite banking, it's just the system, how to go and manage money. And I think personally, the reason people are not as open to it is because they just don't understand it. And I
Correct.
think often that's what it comes down to. And they have a misconception of what it is. And like you mentioned, oh, it's insurance. Oh, it's okay. I'm not interested. Kind of like Dave Ramsey kind of a thing, right? Like, hey, you know what? No, don't touch it. Just go and buy term and do all of that stuff. but it's also dependent on what does that person want to go and achieve in their life, right? Is it a good fit for them? And I appreciate you saying, hey, it's not an investment. It's just a place where you hold money, right? And then you can assign multiple jobs to that same money. And I think that's really where the biggest advantage of this is.
And people just don't understand how that works, and that's where I have to, show them, give them examples. So let's talk about a quick example. Let's just say there is a $50,000 investment that you want to do, or forget investment. Let's just say you need to do a house repair. You're doing some remodeling. You need 50,000. You have $75,000 in cash value inside your system. So normally, if you go to a bank, if you want to borrow money, you would have to get a loan. And a typical bank, you'd have to go there, fill out dozens and dozens of paperwork. You have to go through some interviews. They'll question every single thing. How are you going to pay it back? What's the process? They're going to give you all these rules. Even if once you get the money, you have to pay it back at a certain time. Otherwise, they're going to penalize you. This is the process that banks give you. And this is how it's been since day one. Now, when you borrow from your infinite banking system, there's two questions they're going to ask you. First one, how much do you want? Second one, where do you want us to send it to? That's it. Nothing else. Now you're probably scratching your head like, but why are they doing that? So let me explain. So the $50,000 you want to borrow to do your remodeling, that doesn't come from your cash value. That comes from the insurance company. They have a pool of money. What they do is they use your 50K in your policy as collateral. So the policy still stays whole. It still continues to grow in cash value as if you never pulled money out. And they still give you the 50K to use for your remodeling. And now you start paying that back on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, however way you want to do it. If you're a good steward, you would set up a schedule and pay it back until it's whole again. Now, let's just say something comes up and you miss a payment or two. In a normal banking, like in a normal bank loan, you would get penalized. Penalized hard. If you control the banking function, Daniel, you can choose if you want to miss it, and that's okay. But like I said, you're now responsible. You have to act like the banker, and then you need to do the right thing is pay it off. And if you have to miss a payment or two, that's okay. That's fine. As long as you get back into it, then you pay it off. And then guess what? Rinse and repeat. But meanwhile, remember, the money in your cash value policy stays whole. Nothing is ever taken out. Still continues to grow. No other product in the world can do that. Which is why I'm so passionate about finding this and just helping others.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So why do you think, when people come to you, what do you think, people are really searching for, that goes kind of beyond just the strategy or tax benefits or even dual purposing of the funds? What is it that they feel kind of that's missing for them? What do you kind of notice the most?
Control, stability. It's not even about money anymore. It's kind of like, okay, they're working really hard. They don't see anything improving. They see me quitting my job in 2025. My daughter's starting her freshman year of college, 2025. They're thinking, okay, wait a minute, what is he doing and why? And that's when I just start telling them my story. And then, I explain to them what I talked to you about. I go into a little bit more detail. And then, at the end of the day, people just want to feel safe. They just want to know that their money is in a secure location. It's not going to ebb and flow like it does in the stock market. They can go to sleep at night knowing that the next morning, the money's still going to be there. And maybe more, depending on how well the cash value grows. So it's a win-win in my mind. How they say, there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
This is it. For me.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Now, listen, you built something unique with the Wealth Builders in, interactive, a community.
Yes,
It's not just the product, and I appreciate you mentioning that because listen, at the end of the day, like I said, you're just there to go and help somebody make a decision that's best for them. Can you tell us a little bit more about the
okay, sure. So I actually
community?
run
Yeah.
this community. I run this community called Wealth Builders Interactive, where I teach people different ways of building passive income, starting a side hustle, and building generational wealth. Now, your next question is, how do you do that, Kish? Very simple. I find smart people like you, smart people that know multifamily, smart people that know, turnkey or senior living or, tax strategies that can provide guidance and just educate and are of similar like-mindedness. They don't want to pitch. They're not trying to sell something. They're just trying to help teach others, maybe different aspects of how to do due diligence or something like that.
Mm.
So I've been doing this for about a little over 3 years, 3.5 years, and I have successful investors, CEOs, founders come in and speak to my group. And we do this live, meaning we have the
Mm.
conversation. I actually have members of my club on the call with us. And then they have the ability to ask questions live on the air. So I love that because it makes everything authentic and people can ask anything they want to. And they get it's nothing scripted. And people come out of it listening, thinking, okay, this is legitimate. Plus, the other thing is, there's a lot of W 2 employees, there's a lot of people that don't know how to do mortgage notes or something like that, or understand land flipping. So I have the contacts, they can reach out to me, and I can do a connection with them. And that's the value I provide. So it gives them the opportunity to learn how to do everything that I've been doing. So another way for me to pay it forward.
Yeah. No, that's great. And again, it's as you mentioned, all about educating and going and creating a community. Now, what role does kind of mentorship or storytelling and sharing, share different experiences? How does that really help when you're educating individuals? I think it can help them to really go and build that trust and a relationship with them.
So I put myself in their situation. I was in a situation where I had a W 2 job. I was working really hard, 8, 10 hours a week. Sorry, 8 to 10 hours a day, not a week. And then, I come home, spend time with the wife, spend time with the kids, and afterwards, I don't have time or I don't feel like learning something new. So I started this club when I was working, and this is from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it gave people time to actually spend just an hour, once, twice a month with me, and I would teach them something new, and they would have something to talk about during dinner. They could say, "Oh, Kish taught me about turnkey properties. I didn't know anything
Mm.
about turnkey." And all of a sudden, it just makes their mind start working in ways that my mind never did when I was
Mm.
trying to learn these things. So that's the value add that I provide. That's how I want to give back. These are the conversations I want to have with people. And people can reach out to me and just say, Kish, can we talk about this? Can we talk about, another way of making passive income? Or someone may come up to me and says, hey, I've got these properties. What do you think about them? And
Mm.
we'll have conversations about that. So I love building relationships. I love helping others. I love talking shop, so to speak. Even though I'm a tech guy, for me, shop is this different ways to empower people to help learn. And like I said, I learn as well. A year ago, I learned about condos and hotels in Hawaii, and there was a specific name for it. I forget what, but you can actually buy a hotel room, and it's a condo,
Mm.
but the hotel actually manages it for you, which is kind of like, wow, this is new, this is different. So, so yeah, these are,
Yeah.
so like you said, I'm a lifelong learner. So every day I try to learn something new.
Yeah. Now, when you think about your long-term impact, what do you want your work and legacy to really stand for? Like, what is the kind of the movement that you're building?
Eventually, I would love to have infinite banking be a prerequisite finance course in high schools and colleges. People need to know that, 401k, putting money in S&P 500 stocks, is absolutely a good way of investing, but they need to know how to store the money. Where can they keep the money as a foundation? And that way, this money can be used for investing or stocks or anything else they want to do because of all the benefits that it has to offer. So
Yeah.
that's my goal. Let's see what happens.
Well, you definitely have a, head start on it now. What's something exciting beyond what you have already built that you are working on right now, kind of for the next year as we go into 2026?
What am I building right now that's exciting? Um, I'm just trying to get more exposure for infinite banking. I'm trying to get on stages, just trying to do more in-person meetups, just spending time, you know, meeting with as many people as possible. But that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is spending time with my family, Daniel.
Hmm.
I feel like I've been working my butt off for the last year, and I want to be able to spend some time with my wife, quality time, spend some time with my children. I get to see both my kids. My older one, I see her once a week. She comes home. The younger one I see every day, but I want to spend some quality time with them and just be with them because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's not about having a good job. It's not about the bank account. It's about the relationships you have with your family, at least for me.
Yeah. Well, it's the memories that you go and create, right? Like nobody's going to work and working whatever 9 to 5 or whatever the job might be. And for us entrepreneurs, sometimes it's like 12, 14-hour days when we're working. To just have a big pile of paper money with dead presidents on it, right? That's not what we're doing. It what we're doing, what we're actually able to go and do because we have that money, right? The relationships, things with our families and everything. So that's kind of that important part. And unfortunately, I think a lot of individuals move into entrepreneurship, but because they don't build systems or processes, often I say, "Hey, listen, I'm a financial advisor." I call a lot of financial advisors accidental business owners. In certain aspect, I think every entrepreneur, business owner, they're kind of an accidental business owner until they learn that they need to go and build systems and processes, and they need to define what a business is. Business is an entity that runs on its own without the owner or the founder. And if you use that definition, then unfortunately most financial advisors or most business owners, if they're not in the business, there is no business. They don't really have a business. It's a bit of a glorified job, but having systems and processes definitely helps that. And what you're teaching more on the financial side of things, again, building a system and a process that can definitely help with the funding of the business and having a little bit more of that financial stability that somebody really requires.
Absolutely. And besides, with what I do, this is a long-term commitment, meaning
Mm.
once I have someone that's interested in implementing infinite banking into their lives, I walk them through the process. We help build a strategy that works for them, and I'll still continue to have touch points with them for, years on down. Because what happens is once they see the value, once they start using the money, they may come to me a couple of times and says, "Okay, Keish, I had this opportunity, or I want to use the money for this," and then we'll have a conversation about it. But then they'll want to get policies for their spouse or for their
Yeah.
kids, or they'll tell their brother about it, or they'll tell their parents, or maybe they got grown-up kids, and they're gonna tell them, you need to talk to Keish because he set this up, and this is the value that it provides, not just for me, but my generation down the road. So for me, this isn't just okay. Here's your policy. Take care. See ya. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And again, I think when it comes down to, finances and everything, whatever system you have, I don't believe there is any system that's kind of like set it and forget it, right? You still have to go and manage it and you still have to stay on top of it. But I think just again, having that understanding and having the proper foundation is really important. So, uh, you know what? From the view and kind of the people that you help, could you maybe just share an example of somebody that you worked with that They were kind of skeptical at the beginning, maybe they were not, but then they really get it and what difference it made. I mean, I know that there was, you kind of share a bit of your story, but is there somebody that you can think of, share a story of some of your, one of your clients that and what impact did it actually make in their life?
Sure, that's a really good question. I've got a number of different clients. One of my clients, he actually his wife came over and said, "I see what you're doing, and I don't fully understand it. Can we have a conversation?" I said, "Sure." So we talked. Then afterwards, she went to her husband. They started talking about it, and wow, they had a lot of questions. And they went to all these websites, and they asked me about this, and they asked me about that, and but that's fine. They were doing the right thing. They were doing their due diligence. For me, that's the most important thing. And they signed up. And when they saw the value and that they could immediately sign up
Hmm.
for policy, and in just a few short months, if not less, they were able to pull cash value from there and use it to pay off debt.
Oh,
That
wow.
means their money is growing on the banking side because they borrowed against it, so the cash value is still there,
Yeah.
and they were able to pay off some debt. And what happens is they were still paying that debt slowly, but they were able to pay it off using IBC. So instead of paying the finance company, they just have to pay their own bank back. Then they realize, wow, so my money that I paid is just coming right back to me. It's like free money. And they're just scratching their heads and like, what are we doing? And then unbeknownst to me, they got two more policies. They didn't even tell me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was great. And they told me they got two more policies. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So I was so happy for them because they got it. They
Yeah.
understood it. And their kids have policies now, and their kids are teenagers right now. And I know that they're going to be full-fledged, clients for life.
Yeah. No, that's a great example. Again, when it comes down to people just not having the understanding, and I think that's kind of the biggest part, right? How do you explain to them? How do you show them exactly what it's all about? And then they kind of like, hey, I want more of it, right? So that's great to hear. Listen, as we're coming to the close of the podcast, I've got these four questions that I always ask everybody. I call them rapid fire. What's one book that really shaped how you think about money or life?
So for infinite banking, it is Nelson Nash, Becoming Your Own Banker. And for life in general, there's a book called The Go Giver
Hmm.
by John Mann and Bob Burke. And I love that book. That book resonated with me so much. It's about selflessly giving. Because if you do it
Hmm.
selflessly, you'll get back 10 times in return. And I've actually seen that happen. It was just mind blowing. But these are the two books that I recommend to anybody.
Yeah. Oh, the great books. Is there a morning habit or ritual that you can live without?
That I can't live without. I just started something new. Uh, it's called a forgiveness prayer.
Hmm.
So every morning I wake up and I do this thing. It takes 2 minutes, maybe three, and I say this out loud. It's just a little prayer that somebody helped put it together for me that I say every day. So no matter what happens, I just forgive them and just move on
Yeah.
with life because you can't live with, anger and grief and
Hmm.
all this stuff inside you. It's not worth it. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's a great advice. Yeah. No, that's a great advice. Yeah. After one of my mentors taught me this, he says, Daniel, life is always working for you, or it's working on you until it can work for you. So what you just
yes,
mentioning, practicing forgiveness and just letting go, like don't let other people occupy the space in your head. Like it's not worth it. You've got enough of your own things that you got to go and deal with, right? So if you're not haven't forgiven somebody, you're carrying that burden. They might not even be aware of, right, that they have done anything, right? So that's a great one. Is there a one bucket list item that you haven't done yet?
one bucket list item. There's a lot of things on my bucket list. I like to travel, so that's a big thing for me. So we're
Yeah.
focusing on traveling. The last couple of years, we've been doing a little bit more traveling. So every year we want to go someplace new.
So
That's
what's one place? Is there a place that you're like, man, I just love to go there one day?
Antarctica.
Antarctica. Oh,
Yes. I hate the cold, but there's something about Antarctica that I have to go see.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's quite an interesting journey. I've known several people that have gone. They were part of. There was like an expedition that was going there. They were part of that on the ship that they were on, and it sounded quite incredible because yeah, they were able to go get off of it, go on the. I guess I don't know. It's not called glacier, but go on the ice and doing that. So that's awesome. Uh, is there a surprising hobby or interest that recharges you outside of work?
That recharges me. So there used to be one. I'm trying to get back into it. So I used to run,
No?
and back when I was running, I loved it because it got me away from everything. It got me away from the laptop, got me away from phones. I just listened to music or a podcast or something like that, and I just ran. And I actually ran a half marathon a couple of years ago,
Oh,
and I
awesome.
loved it. Thank you. And I got to get back into that. So for me, you got to be well rounded.
Yeah.
Being, you know, doing a business is all great. But you got to spend time with your family as well, and you got to do something physical for yourself. Especially every year you get older, every year you have to do more to make sure that your body stays as healthy as it can be. Just hang
100%. Yeah.
around.
I always tell people you got one body, one life. You know what?
Yes.
Spare parts, they never work as good. So you better go and take care of it. And yeah, running and walking, yeah, those are great activities to go and do. So I've got this one last question that I asked. I call it a hot one. Uh, Fast forward to the end of your life. Imagine that everything you've ever shared, everything that you ever told people, right? Whatever that might have been, they have forgotten all of it. They don't remember anything, but you have this one last message that you can leave with them. What would that message be from you to them? What would you want them to remember for them and for their life?
Family first.
Hmm.
Family first. It's nothing about money. It's not about business. It's not about job. Education's important, but it's even not about that. It's about
Hmm.
family. It's about the people that you love, the people that you care about, your wife, your children, your parents, your brothers, your sisters. These are the people that mean the most. And if no one else remembers anything at all, just remember that.
Hmm. That's a great point. There was a book, I don't know who's written it. I think it was somebody that went and interviewed people in an old age home. And nobody ever said, I wish I spent more time at the office. They all kind of had, I wouldn't call them regrets, but they were all saying, I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I held somebody closer, hugged them a little bit longer, and done all of these things. Unfortunately, sometimes when we get busy in life, we do tend to forget and thinking about there is always tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it later. And unfortunately, tomorrow never comes. There is always another tomorrow. And
Absolutely.
so it's important that. So that's great. Hey, Kish, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your story and your framework and your heart. Where can people find out more about you and the work that you do?
So I have a website, kkrwealthgroup.com. People can go there. I do have a free, very simple and easy to read PDF guide that can walk you through what I do. If you're interested in joining my club, I have a sign up list I can also provide. And when you join my club, you'll have access to every single recording that I've done for the last 3.5 years for all my speakers. So for me, I think that's gold in itself. I just give that to people because people want to learn. Sometimes people get overwhelmed, and then that's when I say, hey, let's just have a conversation. Let's find out what resonates with you, and I can provide some guidance for you. So, like I said, Daniel, I love helping people, love talking to people, love empowering
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, no, I certainly get that. So perfect. So if you're listening, be sure to check out Keisha's website. I'm going to have the links and everything in the show notes so you can go and grab them from there. Hey, Keish, thank you so much again for your time and your message. And remember, making life less taxing isn't just about money, it's about freedom, clarity, and purpose. Keep building wealth, keep protecting your legacy, and keep living the untaxable lifestyle. We'll see you next time on the Make Life Less Taxing podcast. Thank you again, Keish.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Make Life Less Taxing podcast. Be sure to check out our other top advisor interviews at makelifeLessTaxingPodcast.com.